think we're about to launch here. Let's see if Instagram is coming on.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Oh, we're live here.
Yeah.
How are we doing up there?
Yeah, we're live.
All right. Welcome to our health shop tonight. Tonight, we're going to go over a strong heart. So I'm going to go first for Dr. Mark as the moment. In January, we're in February right now. It's very cold out and a bunch of snow on the ground. So he took the lead to making sure he can get home safe. So I'm sure he is right now. So I'm going to take his spot and talk a little bit about nutrition when it comes to here. And really, as it relates to when it comes to the strong heart, we want to making sure there's not a lot of stress on the body or on the heart to begin with. So a big thing that always comes up from the nutrition part of things is try to limit the sugar in moderation. You know, that's a big one that I look at, and especially when it comes to how I look at the heart when it comes to this heart sound recorder machine that I have. And the big thing we're looking at here is when there's stress getting put on the heart, very well could be from a adequate kind of amount of sugar that is intake that could cause stress to the body, and it will deplenish the vitamin B stores in the body. And a very interesting part about that is vitamin B is a water-soluble vitamin. So they may not stay in the body for very long, especially if there's much stress. So we're coming from from the amount of sugar that we could possibly have in the diet. We want to make sure we keep those vitamin B stores high. A lot of great foods out there that have vitamin B to making sure that we can keep it going here. And Dr. Mark can look at that in a very good way with our nutrition response testing to making sure that you can attack the right approach to understanding what nutrients you very well need first before we get into those vitamin Bs. But just kind of keep that in mind from the nutrition section of how we can gain a strong heart. So Dr. Chip is up next, and I'll go last to finish her off.
All right. Well, hello. Again, Dr. Chip here. Again, what Eddie said there too is that in the office here we do have different products here that help support the heart, and just easy ways to support the heart just based on whole food nutrition that Dr. Mark and again we have here at the office here. So again, we'll go over kind of a section that I like to talk about more, and so we're gonna talk a little bit different perspectives of the heart and why it's so important, how it helps us so much, and what we can do to support it too. So let's talk about the physical nature of the heart, and so specifically blood flow. Now, if we want to break it down, the blood of our bodies is more of the food of our cells. It's to support our cells, and that if we didn't have blood flow to our cells, then our cells would eventually die out and we would not be here or be alive. And so that's why it's very important. Now, what is actually transporting the blood? Again, a little truck here to help illustrate that. But it's the heart, it's the pump, it's the ability of the heart to pump blood all the way through the body in an efficient manner. And so if we're not able to have a strong heart, then we cannot we can't transmit that food or that blood flow to all the cells of the body. And so again, if we are not able to get it circulated throughout the feet, the toes, the hands, the head, all those different little cells in those different areas, then we start having issues, and then we can have illness or disease. So that's one way to look at the heart and the blood flow. So let's talk about the electrical side of the heart. Now, why I put three different things here: the kind of the brain, you can see, the spine, the human spine, and then our heart. And so the fun or interesting thing about these different areas here is that there is a lot of electrical activity, a lot of nervous system activity, a lot of nerve flow in these different areas. And so when we have stress on our brain, it can actually affect the heart. But if we have stress on our heart, it can affect our brain. And so this is a continuous cycle here that is transmitting these different signals back and forth. And also too is that we actually have more nerve signals from our heart to the brain. And why that's important is that if we are experiencing something such as different emotions of sadness or grief or hate or anger or anything like that, it actually constricts our heart and actually doesn't allow the effective nerve communication from the heart to the brain, which ultimately causes illness or disease. Now again, that can happen the other way too, is that if we're overly stressed out with our brains, if our thoughts are getting sporadic, if we're not able to control our minds very well, if we have this very continuous thought cycle, then our brain is overloaded, and now the coherence or the balance between our brain to our heart is not very good or not very well. And so that can cause a weaker heart, causing some illness or disease. So we'll go ahead, we'll talk about the next slide here. Now this is a little different one. I couldn't find quite the right pictures here, but that's okay. So this is, I want to talk about the electromagnetic heart. And so this is kind of a fun little picture here. We have a little light bulb acting as like a person that's plugging itself in, generating that electricity back, and so getting that, again, the light bulb turning on. And then again, a magnet here, just a general magnet. And now I'm just going to talk about more of how our heart is more producing an electromagnetic field around our bodies. And so we tend to think that's kind of a weird way of looking at things, or we tend to not think about the energy around us. But a good example of this is when you go into a room after an argument or something you just feel is not quite right. But when you go into that room, and it could be after, again, some turmoil that happened, you can feel tension. You can feel this energy that is not quite, it doesn't feel right. It feels like it's like a block, or you feel kind of different in that moment. And so that is our actual field around us, that when we have somebody that's in our field or some, energy or feeling in that field, then we feel that as well. And so that's why we can feel when somebody might be happy or might be sad or sad about something or angry about something or something's bothering something. If we actually are able to be more in tune with the energy field around us, then we can start noticing those things a lot better. And that's important too, is that this field around us, produced by the heart, is a way for us to actually protect ourselves from different energies around there, or bugs or viruses or bacteria, all that nature too. Because everything in our nature or our life has an energy around it too. And so just like a magnet, if our energy is out enough, we can use it to repel things that we don't want or don't need in our lives. But when our energy is getting shorter and shorter, it's hard for us to repel or defend ourselves from those different forces. And so when our energy is high, when we're expressing good feeling emotions, when we're eating good foods, and our brain and our heart are well connected, then we're more balanced and we're able to have that better field to protect ourselves. And so what are some good activities here, or just things to do? We kind of talked about a little bit. Whole foods, again, very important to maintain good vitamins and nutrients for the heart so that it can actually do what it needs to have a strong heart and help you to live your life better. Deep breathing. Again, deep breathing is just good to more balance out your brain and your heart and your body in general. It could be any time throughout the day. You can practice it anytime you want, but it's very important when we're stressed or we get overly anxious about something, or something throws us off, and when we are about to react to something, we stop and take a deep breath, and that helps to, again, balance out our nervous system, which, again, that's a part of the heart and the brain itself too. Fun activities. Sometimes when I either ask patients or even asking you tonight, is saying, when is the last time you really had a fun experience, or even in the past week, or is there something throughout your day that you look forward to, that you feel like you have a passion for, or something that you really just want to create something, or feel good that you're gonna wake up in the morning, you're like, at least I get to do this today. That is, again, something that our heart really wants us to do. We actually feel that we can have more of a purpose or a calling for something. And so when we get to do these fun activities, that's good for our hearts to, again, express an emotion or have a good energy, so that we actually, again, have more energy to do the things we want to do, especially those fun activities. Now, looking for the good. Again, this helps our brains to see more of the good if we actually can focus on good things in our lives. And so typically sometimes we actually get overloaded. We get overloaded with stress and everything like that. And why that can be detrimental is that we start getting easily irritated, frustrated, and it becomes more of an angry or a hateful emotion that gets kind of built up in us. And when we focus on looking for the good, we are less able, or less likely to become frustrated or irritated about something, and that allows us to keep our energy intact, and so we're not giving out so much of our energy to others or different events or media or anything like that. And so that's why it's a very good practice to do, and that it helps our hearts to stay strong. So I think that is it for me. We're going to go back to Coach Ed here, and he's going to finish it off with the Superpower of Love. All right.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Chip. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the superpower of love, and Dr. Chip actually did a couple of points that I want to elaborate a little bit more when we come through here, but I love talking about love, especially as a guy. Not a lot of people like seeing a guy talk about love, but really love is very powerful. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, it all works out very well. So I'm going to go through a couple of things when it comes to this organization that I look at when it explains about love as it relates to the heart itself. And of course, we're looking at the energetic standpoint of these things, of what's getting produced from the heart as it relates to love. And this institution is called the Heart Math Institute, and they are phenomenal. They are doing great research when it comes to the understanding of the heart, the power of the heart, and how we can use this to our advantage to really balance, I guess you could say, all areas of our life. So these did you know things are going to be straight from the Heart Math Institute. So even when we were a kid, I mean, we're being developed. The heart forms and starts beating before the brain begins to develop. And this is illustrated on Chip's point that the heart has more connections going from the brain than the brain does to the heart. So we look at the brain being the centerpiece to a lot of things when it comes to health, but we have to understand that the heart is what started first. The heart has much more connections through the entire body. And we know that these positive emotions can increase the brain's ability to do good decisions. So we very well know that when we have some negative emotions that we're tend to using, and we sometimes get ourselves in a case that we do something that's out of anger or causes more chaos, I guess you could say, that we can say it's not a very good decision. However, when we look at positive emotions like joy or peace or love or appreciation, you could think that that does a very good job for creating us to have much more good decisions in life. So there's a great little quote that we got going in here, and it says, "The educating the mind without educating the heart is not education at all." And I'll show you a little education right here, that negative emotions can cause the nervous system chaos, but positive emotions can do the opposite. So Dr. Chip talked a little bit about this when it comes to the brain and heart, especially with the nervous system going all the way down the spine there. And so we can balance out the body in a sense, even by using these negative emotions, and it has the brain's ability to make right decisions. I mean, this love is pretty pretty remarkable. It's almost like a superpower that we can use on our day-to-day lives. So another one, these positive emotions create psychological benefits in our body. We talked a little bit about that already, but really when when we use these positive emotions, we can balance out our body so we don't allow as much chaos, you could say, or in another term, dis-ease to the body as well. So this heart-powered love can do wonders to our health. The other one, it even boosts your immune system by focusing on positive emotions. You can find this in much research, but the Heart Math Institute is looking in a sense that as it relates to positive emotions, which we'll go over much more in a little bit, but these emotions that people associate with the heart, like for instance, care, compassion, gratitude, affect the heart's rhythm and quality of the neutral signals being sent to the brain, the heart to the brain. It's going to cause a much better connection between the two and allow health to be transformed throughout the body. So here's the big one that they always look at with the heart rhythms. As you see, if we use a lot of these negative emotions, it causes an incoherence with things. You can even feel that sensation that we might have some anxiety or stress or frustration that we just don't feel ourselves. And when it comes to that, but look at here, appreciation, gratitude, love, compassion, these emotions, we can do this throughout the entire day. Right when you wake up is usually the best time to do it. But even if we find ourselves in this frustration, anxiety type of mood, we can just flip the coin and actually go right back to causing more coherence when it comes to the heart. And of course, when we focus on the heart, we're going to be focusing the brain as well. So we can balance this stuff out and we get much more success in our health. So, Chip talked a little bit about this, but the human's heart magnetic field can be measured several feet away from the body. Now we look at this, you're saying like, well, where is it? Kind of thing. Well, it's not visible to the eye. We only can see through the light spectrum, but we can say that we don't see, the Wi-Fi signal going through the air. We don't see cell phone signal. We don't see the lights. We can see the light to here, but we can't see the light through here, kind of thing. So when we're looking at this, yes, the heart has its own magnetic field, and it's huge. And I think they said, was it like 6 feet in circumference? But it was one of those things that the machine that they had can only detect that big. So who knows how big the actual heart, this superpower of love, actually resonates out. And you can see this when you're even walking into a room. So our thoughts and our emotions, affect this heart's magnetic field and energetic, affecting those in our environment. Dr. Chip talked to you a little bit about when you're feeling these anger or frustration from someone else, you just get this feeling that's going on. But you can also do the opposite of this. If someone's love and caring and happy, you can feel their energy. They're pretty much most likely the life of the party when it comes to a lot of these things. So you can see that if we find ourselves using these thoughts and emotions from that negative standpoint, let's flip them onto the other side. Because not only can it affect you with your health, but it can also affect the people around you and their health. And there's this really good guy that made this great quote. He said, self-love reflects into loving others. So when we're looking at this is a great point that I believe you can say through my emotional standpoint, my emotional journey, I overlooked this self-love. When I thought of love, I always thought love was just loving other people as much as you can, do to yourself as you do to others, kind of thing, or maybe the other way, kind of thing. But what's a big point of this is my takeaway for you when it comes to, if you want to find more love, or you want to find a much more magnetic or coherent relationship with other people, keep in mind that the self-love will take you in a much, you could say, quicker standpoint, or a much more powerful standpoint. Because if we don't love ourselves and we're trying to love other people, then we're throwing our energy out to many people. But if we get ourselves correct first with the love of who we are, then we can sustain and create those much more powerful connections with other people in our environment. And the neat thing is, like I was talking about, the Heart Math Institute is one of those institutions or companies that are looking into this, and they are understanding from a standpoint of the heart itself and the magnetic field, but now they're expanding their research and their development and their discoveries that it does much more to the people around them. So keep that in mind when you want to get a strong heart in this kind of sense. And we will put all of these health shops on YouTube as well as Brighteon, but we're also putting them on Rumble too. So we also have our social media pages with Facebook and Instagram at Natural Health Quincy IL. Please sign up for our email list. I put these health shops on there, and we got many different recipes, all of our special days that we have going on. We got Dr. Chip, Dr. Mark, and I's blog on there, which usually is kind of, for me personally, my blog is kind of a mirror of what's going on when I present in this standpoint. So you can research and you can understand where we're coming from with what we're doing on our week-to-week basis. So you can always schedule an appointment with all of us at 2000 Jefferson in Quincy, Illinois at 62301. You can call us as well at 217-228-2040. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Love you all. Bye-bye now.